just imagine other people that live in rural places or small organizations. They have to work. They may not be able to get to the tool bank. And there are estimated 13,000 nonprofits in this region. So we had to whittle that down a little bit. So a little bit, next slide, a little bit about the scope of our project. The tool bank would like to purchase 4 mobile units, custom-built containers outfitted with smart locks, solar panels, preferably 24/7 access, and they want it to be in the different counties, Galveston, Fort Bend, Harris, and Montgomery counties. So these lockers, these containers will have different size rooms, different size lockers, depending on how large or small the tools that need to be rented are. So in addition to that, a box truck and a driver would have to be added to assist with delivering to all of those different new locations. So the next slide is going to show what that container will look like, and then John is going to tell you a little bit about what we did. And this container is located at the tool bank in their parking lot. So this is what they wanted modeled after.
So next slide. So what they wanted us to do is to try to come up with a database to highlight all the different nonprofits in the greater Houston region. So of that roughly 13,000, we had to figure out, 1, how to find them, and 2, how to classify them so that they can use the information to, 1, market to these guys, 2, figure out how they can partner with them, and then 3, figure out where they were all located so that they could potentially partner with them for selecting sites for these containers. So we use the same software I use when we're doing site selection for, companies, whatnot, looking to relocate. So we ran searches based on the NAICS codes and SIC codes, which are government codes that they use to classify different businesses. And there's about 8 to 10 main codes that are used for nonprofits, whether it's 501, 503s, etc. There's quite a few different nonprofit categories. We pulled the best ones we could that way, and then came up with a huge list, and then whittled it down to try to find ones that really fit the tool bank, because there's a lot of nonprofits that, every HOA is a nonprofit. There's, I don't know how many different writing groups that have 1 or 2 people members and things like that. So we had to get rid of all of that. The other issue that we ran into in doing it this way is pulling these codes to create this list. It's all based on where these companies or organizations file their taxes out of. So we're pulling data for mainly smaller or local housed, I guess, places. So when we run into some of the bigger ones like Boy Scouts or companies or organizations that are headquartered elsewhere, they don't show up on our list. So we pulled this big list, narrowed it down, and then we went back and did some just regular Google searching to backfill the list as best we could with some of the bigger, more national organizations. Ultimately, we ended up with about 1,000 nonprofits into our spreadsheet, a lot of which are churches. And then again, we went item by item through that to figure out which ones were still in existence and kind of classify our database a little bit more based on what they actually did, their overall locations. We have their address, their phone number, their name, number of employees, their NAICS code, SIC code, location within the city, whether it was kind of northeast, southeast, northwest, southwest, and then what classification they fell into, whether it was medical or religious or military or whatever type of nonprofit they are in. So we have all these different categories so that the tool bank can use it as more of a living document and sort and however they need to. So they want to find something in a specific zip code, they can do that. If they want to find in a quadrant of the greater Houston area, they can do that too. So next slide. So essentially they're going to use this again as a living document. They can add to it, take away what doesn't work for them, use it for marketing and outreach about what they do. And then ultimately, as they get these containers in, then they can kind of use it, create heat maps, figure out where they have a larger populace of potential partners, and then use that to come up with the partner location to drop the containers off, so the containers can be ready 24/7 for work. Because that is, like Nichele was saying, if you live in Katy and you got to get down to the ToolBank location, it's going to take you about an hour each way, and they work regular hours of 9 to 5. So if you have a project going on the weekend, you're going to have to cut off work by 3:30 to be able to get to the ToolBank, and then you're going to have to take off Monday morning also to get your tools returned. So with these mobile sites, it'll drastically help the ToolBank being able to do their mission. The next slide. Well, that's pretty much it. And this is a snapshot of some of the stuff they have inside of their warehouse at the ToolBank. But any questions?
Great, thanks a lot. It seems like that's going to be really impactful and helpful for the folks that live on the outside. I do just have a quick question. With your specialized expertise and access to that database, turning it over to them, are they going to be able to update it in the future, or will they have to
just put it in a straight Excel? Everything was just exported into Excel, so they just have an Excel worksheet that they can do whatever they want with.
Got it. Okay. All right, I'll open it up to anybody else.
Thanks a lot, you guys. This is Jenna. Great to see your faces. But great job on this. ToolBank's been a longtime partner of ours, so it's awesome to see us being able to help and work with them in a new way. We all know that while we do these different group projects, and especially with external partners, sometimes things arise both that we were not expecting that can be more challenging, as well as things that we may not have expected that could have been for the best. So I'd love to hear what you guys viewed as maybe some challenges and or highlights while doing this project.
I mean, for me, I would say the only challenge was the amount of time it takes to put it all together and then go line by line through these, thousands of organizations and filter them, and then go back through and make sure all the information was correct. So we had to Google every single one of them. And Nichele did a large amount of that, and I ended up actually having to hire somebody to help me finish my side of it. I had 100 of them done, but it takes a lot of time to get through them all. So.
Right. I would agree with John. You don't realize how long it takes to actually build, that Excel spreadsheet with, 1,000 or so, nonprofits with all the information, because, we started out with several thousand, and to whittle it down and, all of the different categories, it takes a lot of time, but we are glad that it is a working document now, and maybe the next cohort will take it and, start reaching out in order to get those resources needed.
So a question for you both. I have no doubt that the work you did, it sounds like a lot of work that you did, is super impactful for them, because this was a huge amount of time and a huge amount of work, and really helped them out a lot. I'm interested in kind of what your experience, like the impact that you got out of it, or anything that you learned from it. I mean, it's good for us, and I would like candid feedback about the project, because we're always looking for partners. And I remember reading this proposal and thinking it sounded really interesting, and the way I understood it was going to be more that you would be on the other side of this, is helping them think about locations and being strategic about not just coming up with a giant database of something. So if you could, just give us some feedback about what the experience was, and for the project itself, and kind of what you got out of it.
I would say Eric and the ToolBank are great. She was very easy to work with. She spelled out what she wanted very, very clearly. So that was, she was very accessible. But as far as, I guess, what we got out of it, I would say not much, because really it was just putting together a database, and they don't even have the funding yet to go do the containers. So they're looking for it as using it for marketing, and then at some point using it toward help them figure out where containers would go, but they're still a ways off from deploying containers.
And even me, when I first, I guess, realized what we were doing, my first thought was, oh, we're building a database, you know, is that it? But so initially I would have, I guess, wanted to, you know, actually work with, you know, a group, maybe a youth organization or something. But once we started this, and like I said, Erica was great. I can see how what we did and what hopefully the next cohort will do to continue it. I can see how it can all, you know, pretty much come to fruition. So that would be interesting to see. And us being out here in Houston, you know, if the next cohort does it, I would, you know, be in touch with Erica and like to, you know, see that through and see how it goes.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Thank you for that feedback.
We did talk
yeah.
to her about whether we were going to help her actually do the site selection and picking the partner to drop the units. And she was like, they just didn't know when they'd have the funding to even create them. So they didn't know how far off that would even be. So.
Okay. All right. Thanks.
Hi, John and Nichele. That's Heather. So we heard you talk about a little bit here with Susan's question. There might have been some missed opportunities with this project that you felt to personally get something out of it. I am curious to hear. So the intention behind the project was a place to take the learning, the skills from the program and have then the chance to begin to apply some of that in a practical based situation. Are there any pieces of the curriculum that you felt in particular you were able to apply through this? And then secondly, are there things, just given what your project was and what you were doing, that you felt was missing from the curriculum that would have benefited you more? All knowing that some of this, as you both have said, was building a database, which has some limitations to it, but would be curious to hear from both of you, those two questions.
I would say we didn't use any of the curriculum at all. Yeah, that's pretty much it. We just kind of did our own thing. So even the amount of interaction Nichele and I had to have to get it done was fairly minimal. I mean, we met a couple times just to make sure we were on the same page of what we were creating and kind of created the template. And then we talked about that. And then we kind of assigned who was doing what parts of it. But other than that, we didn't even have to meet too often.
And I would say that, I mean, John and I both, you know, have lots of experience, you know, dealing with, you know, different things, management. So yeah, the curriculum didn't do much. I mean, although I liked some of the classes, you know, self-care and all that stuff, but you know, reality, it didn't do much for us.
Appreciate that candid response from both of you.
Sure.
Any other questions out there? Cool. All right.
Well, I just want to say I appreciate you both, you know, doing that. Like I said, when I know that we absolutely made the effort in our screening of these projects is, you know, it was to be something more than creating a database. So I do appreciate that you did follow through and you did that work. And like I said, I know that is, I mean, it's a huge impact because you know how much time you put into it, and that would have been like they would have had somebody else have to put that time into it with very limited resources. Doesn't really make up on your end for what you know, for what your expectations rightfully were. So I appreciate the work that you did on this and that you hung in there and did it. So thank you.
Braun?
I mean, I think it'll be useful for them, if anything, so.
Yeah, I'm certain they're going to get a lot of use out of that. just even having it to go back to once they are ready to purchase the land or purchase the containers or set up shop. Yeah, it's going to definitely help them out.
We can use it as a marketing tool for helping find more partners for them now. And that was the other goal of keeping that list down to a manageable size. Was I didn't want 13,000 organizations on there, because then they can't do anything with that. But if we had it down to a core, small enough, manageable number that they could actually reach out to on a regular basis, then they can actually do something with it. So,
do you have any interest in kind of staying involved in any way to see it through as they move forward, or you're good with moving on?
I mean, I'll do whatever it is they need help with. I mean, I think they're a great organization. So
yeah, okay.
Yeah, same here. I'll be, whatever they need. So
Great.
Something I wanted to add is I hope you guys as a team aren't discouraged with how it came out, because I'm sure, like what Jimmy was saying, there's a lot of benefit that you guys brought to them as a team, and I'm sure that they really liked seeing involvement from another organization to try to help them get to where they're trying to go. And even if you couldn't have used the skill sets learned in the program, there may be opportunities to share the skill sets with them to where like they could use a grow model for something, or or they could utilize DISC in a certain way. There may be other opportunities to apply what was learned in the program to them, even if it didn't apply to you. But I hope there's no discouragement, because I understand the whole database side of things. I've had background working with that sort of stuff, and it's frustrating to do a lot of work and to not necessarily see a lot of change right away. But I can tell you that I'm certain they appreciated all the time and effort you guys put into it. So I hope there's no discouragement is the theme I'm trying to convey here.
yeah, no, I'm not discouraged.
I don't have a question, but these two have, whatever I needed, they were responsive right away. And I just want to thank you for that. I do know that, the work that you did is very appreciated. And I thank you for that. Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Well, it's Friday, and we all have nowhere to be. But I do appreciate you letting us join you in your homes, and it was great to have you in our cohort for this past couple months, and look forward to seeing what you're going to produce in the future.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, we'll be in touch very soon.
Okay.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.